Top of the whenever to my God lights. It is I am he, I am she, I am share. Look to the Bible, and there you will find me. In my recent videos, I addressed the video to the US government, discussing some of the things that were being done to me. And I left some things out that I want to now include because they are relevant. I mentioned that I had surgery at the beginning of this year. I had spine surgery at Brooklyn Methodist Presbyterian, and I consented to the surgery. However, I did not consent to something that was done to me. Um, while I discovered after a while after the surgery that something was placed in me. Um, to describe what it looks like, because I see it inside my body. It is about the size of a nickel, and it reminds me of the bug, um, like in that damn Matrix movie, like a spider looking bug. This is probably maybe 1.5 the thickness of a nickel, maybe about, or maybe it's double the thickness of a nickel. And it was placed in me during surgery. It is not compatible to my body. Therefore, my body is trying to reject it, which is why I keep seeing it moving around inside me. Imagine my surprise to find a robot looking bug in my body that was placed in me from surgery I consented to. The fact that the US government is allowing that type of technology, which is technology from Archon and the Anunnaki, to be used on godlike beings, is problematic for your existence in addition to mine. The Lord Almighty said something to me before this even happened, and I am going to share it with you for your safety. He said, Prime, Creator, um, I was unalived. Well, no, this was something I discovered, and then he told me something. I discovered that I was unalived in the last 1,000 of my existence here. I was unalived all 1,000 times as a result of homicides. And he's not happy about it, and I am not allowed to take my life, and no one is allowed to take my life. And there are severe consequences each time I am unalived. And over the last 1,000 lifetimes, the consequences were absorbed by me. However, that will no longer be the case. And if you participate in these acts, you will become beneficiary of the judgment of punishment. I am not wishing anything on anyone. However, if you do the crime, you do the time. This spider object, it's coming out of me. Now, there are things I have discovered from my Supreme Court case in heaven, my most recent one, that things were done to me by individuals I knew, which includes family, friends, neighbors, and social connections such as co-workers, employees, investors of employees in this lifetime. I'm stating, and things that were done to me in the spirit realm, based on these connections. These individuals participated in illegal sales, illegal reselling, illegal. It's bold to sell someone when you do not have right to do so, to create spiritual scenarios where you place yourself in circumstances to be in a position to sell someone is disturbing. The fact that this is something that is common is even more disturbing. And this, I am aware that this did take place through parents and family members, which is the beginning of that, which is how the U.S. government gained an attachment to that scenario. And there's going to be consequences for that, especially because I have spoken up more than once to the U.S. government about this sort of thing. When I was 8 years old, I called the police about this. I even spoke to individuals. The principal of my school, when I was 8 or 9 years old, when I was living in San Francisco, I knew the situation had to do with the spirit realm, but it seems as though when a child tells you that they're being abused and they know a lot about the spirit realm, you want to assume that that child must be making something up, it seems. And that situation led me to disappearing from the school system and being transferred over to a handler and placed in even more disturbing spiritual circumstances. I don't know how you allow a situation where ACS, whatever they call it in San Francisco, I don't know if it's the same as here on the East Coast, I don't remember. But when a case is opened and a child leaves the school system in one part of your country and enters the system in another, how does the fact that an abuse situation, how is that disregarded? They kept me out of the public school system and had me in private school, and there was a break in the access to public school by, I think it was 3 years. However, how does a child enter back in the public school system and that sort of thing, that red flag doesn't go back up when abuse is discussed. I bring this up because this does directly relate to further, more disturbing abuses done onto society. I'm talking about 9/11 and parts 1 and 2. The truth of that is on cameras that individuals in your government are hiding from you. However, it is obvious in several documents that have been submitted by, I think it was the FBI. I should have brought that damn paper out. Anyway, because my point here is, it is unacceptable behavior to use rain-jar type systems against society, which is what is happening. This device is in the line of that device system, and it is actively being used on locals, citizens, residents. I do not consent. And, you know, when I knew of that technology, because it's long range, and I didn't realize until this year that they're also using it through their helicopters. I see government helicopters flying around my apartment and directly face my apartment. And I see the flashing of the light where they are scanning into my apartment, and they're scanning me because this nasty thing is inside of my body, checking my body temperature without my consent is weird behavior. And I want you to know that they're not just using it on citizens, they're actually using it on you as well, because they do not want it in the court system, so that they can't be censored on who they are using it on and when they are using it. They're using it on locals, but they're also using it on members of Congress. Everybody is open to exposure to this BS because it is being used to benefit Humpty Dumpty, Trumpty, and his alliances with the 13 Blood Council, the 13 Bloodline Council, in addition to other cults. And one of those individuals, or one of those groups, is Ham Ass. And the incident of 9/11, there is a connection there with my past, which I did not consent to any of that foolishness. And you guys have that on camera, whether they admit it to you or not. It was on camera, and there's footage of me in Tribeca on that day that would give you the evidence that you need. And in that footage you will see, well, I don't, because they're abusing metaphysics. In that video there's footage of me and there's footage of Jesus as well. And if you see the footage, if you're lucky enough to see it, it will tell you a lot about why Humpty Dumpty is so determined to get ham ass into the White House because there is owing he owes. By transferring my life, it would give them access into portals and free them from being stuck in the spirit realm, because they aren't able to get out of this Loosh Farm cube. I guess he thought the next step was to try to transfer Lucifer into my body. I've mentioned this in a previous video. But to transfer him. But the main reason is also that he owes these individuals. And there is a connection there to Mamdani, their show pony. You guys need to do a little bit better in researching. If you check facial recognition, you will see that Mamdani looks real, like he could be brothers with one of the individuals that was one of the hijackers during 9/11. They look like freaking brothers, right? Also note something about their physical and their auric imprint is extremely similar. They are also similar in look to individuals that was inside of the Trojan horse, the same individuals that unalived Princess Cassandra. They are for lifetimes now stalking me, harassing me, and unaliving countless people, and you are assisting. That needs to end.